and this is definitely in the top 5. If I'm feeling down, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure will get a spin. Hey legends, welcome along to Here's Rodder's Reviews, the show that loves all things entertainment and shares that love with you. I am your host, Rodney Stewart. We're going to get into Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. This little movie is fan-bloody-tastic. Can't praise this one highly enough. This defines the 80s. It's just, you watch this movie, there's no doubt what time period it's set on. Absolutely fantastic. Two pretty much loser friends, Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan, dream of starting their own rock band called Wild Stallions. And at the beginning of the movie, we find out they're failing their history test, and Ted's father drops the ultimatum that if he doesn't pass his history report, he's getting shipped off to a military school in Alaska. And the panic starts then. What are we going to do? We need to study as hard as we can to pass this exam, because if we get separated, we can't start our band. And later that night, of course, Rufus turns up in a time-travelling phone box and tells him he's here to help him with their history report. So he takes him off into the phone box. They travel through the circuits of time, and they see Napoleon's army attacking, and Rufus returns them to the future. But as they're leaving, Napoleon accidentally gets pulled into the circuits of time with them, and when Rufus drops them off in their own time, tells them, okay, you've got 12 hours to do whatever you need to do to get this report done, but don't forget that the clock in San Dimas, the clock for their time period, is always running. So even though they've got a time machine, they've still only got that certain amount of time to do whatever they need to do. So of course Rufus leaves, an empty time travelling phone box is replaced, and Napoleon drops out of a tree, and they come up with the great idea of travelling through time and collecting a whole bunch of historical figures and getting them to speak on their behalf for their history report. And off they go on this crazy adventure where they meet Billy the Kid, Socrates Johnson. I love that part in the movie when Ted is introducing all these figures, like Abraham Lincoln and them guys. He's trying to make up more normal names for them to try and hide the fact that they're actually who they are. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, they meet the two princesses in medieval England, and by the end of the movie, they get reunited with the two of them, thanks to Rufus. This movie, if you've never seen it, you're really missing out. They do collect all the figures. Ted's father is the chief of police. They'll end up getting arrested, all the historical figures, after pretty much a brawl in a shopping mall. And the water park sequence with Napoleon is brilliant. The soundtrack to this movie is fantastic. I have got a couple of copies of that on CD. I was big at a time. I was very big into collecting soundtracks for movies and whatnot, and the soundtrack to this is phenomenal. Very much 80s music, but beautiful. Love it. This, if I recall properly, I think this is probably one of the first movies that I watched in the cinema, and my own memory, I'm pretty sure there was probably other things before that. I'm trying to recall what year Ghostbusters 2 came out. I think Ghostbusters 2 was before this, but It was only about a couple of years, if it was this. I was like 9 years old when. No, am I telling a lie? Maybe I was about 10 years old at the very most when Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure came out. Now, I do have to say, it is one of these movies. My stomach is rumbling. Please forgive that. I do have to say now, Bill and Ted, you're either going to love this movie or detest it. I don't think there's any real middle ground there, but I genuinely do enjoy it, and I think, talking about it now, I think this is what started out my love affair with America. And of course, if you've been following the vlog channel, Here's Rodder's Vlogs, you'll have seen a couple of years back, I actually went to America to visit my pen pal. And a few years previous to that, she came from America over here to Northern Ireland to visit me. The first time we'd met each other since we were children, and I put in we've known each other since we were literally 11, 12 years old, and huge long friendship. But whenever I'm talking about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, it's movies like this and movies like The Goonies and that sort of thing that really attracted me to America. So whenever the opportunity to get a pen pal came up, of course, America was the first choice for me. And there we go. That is something new for me. Honestly, this movie, I cannot pass it up. I watch it at least on DVD. I actually give this a little run probably about 4 times in the year. If I'm, feeling a bit down, there's a small handful of movies that I would go to lift me spirits. And this is definitely in the top 5. If I'm feeling down, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure will get a spin. I think that's all I can really say about it. Basically, by the end of the movie, spoilers, the reason Rufus comes back from the future and helps him pass this history report is the fact that Wild Stallions does become a supergroup in the future, and their music pretty much brings about galactic peace, you may as well say, peace on Earth and whatnot, and it aligns the planets, the whole works, the entire structure of future society is based around Wild Stallions and their music. So if Bill and Ted got separated now at this point in history and they didn't get to start the band, their music wouldn't eventually change the world for the better. This is a flat out comedy. Do you know what I mean? The film does not take itself seriously whatsoever. It is just a good time all around. And if I'm flipping through the channels, I have turned up at work asleep on my feet because I've been flipping through the channels before I'm supposed to be going to bed. It's stupidly early. I'm in work most times between 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning, and if I come across this thing, and I'm trying to look after my health, and you're aiming for about 7 to 8 hours sleep, I come across Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on TV. Bear in mind, I have got the DVD of it. I come across that on TV, I'm watching it. It doesn't matter what's happening the next day, it doesn't matter what's going on around me in the house, just all stops for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. If you've never seen it, trust me, you're missing out big time. But I do have to say, on top of the fact that it's very 50-50, you'll either love it or hate it. For me, and when we get to Face the Music, I'll go into this in a bit more detail, but I do genuinely think as well, Bill and Ted are very much a product of their time, and I think that the reason why I identified so much with this movie is because As I say, I was only about 10 years old when this movie was made. In the movie itself, Bill and Ted are, say, 15, 16 years old at the very most. There's not a big, huge gap there. Like, I was born in 79, for goodness sake. I'm an 80s kid. I did a lot of my childhood was throughout the 80s, the early 90s. Generation X, it was the best flipping time. And I think because I am from Gen X and I grew up not in that culture, as I say, it started my love affair with America, but the time, just that time period, that music, that whole rock and roll vibe, I was all into that sort of stuff. And to this day, I still, if I'm out in the car, I've got the CD of Excellent Adventure on there. I'd crank that up for a couple of those songs. Like, two heads are better than one. Beautiful, beautiful. Can't say enough good words about this movie, but as with everything, it's subjective. So I would highly recommend you checking it out. You'll either love it or you'll hate it. Let me know in the comments what you think of the movie. And see you again soon for Bogus Journey.